How's it going, guys? This is Mr. Ben 809 coming to you with a video. I haven't made a video in a long time, sorry about that. Today's video's topic is going to be PC versus console. And I know this has been done 1,000 times before, but there's a lot of misinformation and just a lot of wrong information given out there, especially by the PC-centric websites, which are so arrogant they call themselves PC Master Race. More like PC Masturbation Race, but that's another subject for another time. Let's get straight into the video. First, I'm going to say the advantages the PC has. And these are advantages that cannot be disputed. These are advantages that make a really big difference, to say the least. The first is res and FPS. Resolution and FPS does matter. Anybody who tells you that it doesn't is straight line. Now, is 4K needed? Not really. Maybe in the future it might be, but as game development goes right now and how expensive it is to develop games that look good at 1080p, I don't see 4K gaming being viable anytime soon. One thing you do have to know is after 60 frames a second, the quality increase from like 60 to 70 frames a second isn't as big as the quality increase from 50 to 60. And it's like you keep spending more and more money just to get one frame more the higher you go. And in reality, it's sometimes it's not really worth it. Main reason is you sit somebody in a computer and you show them 30 frames a second on one screen and 45 frames a second, let's say for example, on the other one. They're going to notice the difference immediately. Unless you're blind, you're definitely going to notice the difference. Now, sorry about that. Now, let's say you put somebody with a 70 frames a second screen and then another screen running the same game at 90 frames a second. That person is not going to notice that. And if they do notice it, it's going to be very, very, very minimalistic. And I mean, it's going to be such a small change that it's not going to be worth that, extra whatever $200-300 you spent just to get those 20 frames a second. It's just not. Another thing PC games excel at that you can't argue this. It's indie games and RTS, and like MOBA games, which in my opinion are really RTS games. People say they aren't, but hey, they really are. It's just you only control. They really are RTS, but hey, they have towers in them and minions, so I guess they're different. That you can't argue. On the PC, the indie game community and all that is way far ahead. Now, here's where I'm gonna get into the meat of the video. Get into the reason why I made this video, and it's all the information making the consoles look like they're not a worthy purchase or not something you should get. The first point I'm gonna make to you guys is Steam does have sales, but you'll never own a game on Steam. I have paid to play games on Steam. I have a Steam library, and I have something like 50 games on it, but I don't use it simply because Steam is a DRM service. And most of you little kids out there making videos on PC versus console understand nothing about that. Nothing at all. I mean, do you understand the moment you lose internet, you can't even play your game offline? I hope you guys do seriously understand that when you think you're getting a $20 game for $5. You're not getting that game for $5. You're getting the ability to basically, how do I explain it? you're not really purchasing that game. That game is never going to really be yours. And let's say the day you stop paying your internet provider, or if you move, for that short amount of time you don't have internet, you don't have that game at all. As we're on a console, you can get physical copies of the game. You know, for example, I have The Last of Us, PS4. I can take this to my friend's house and play it on his system. You know, even if he doesn't have internet. You know, it doesn't matter, because I can just take this game, go over to the house, pop it in, and we're good to go. As with Steam, it's not quite the same. You know, you have to either log in at his house, wait for the game to download. God knows how long that would take, you know. You know, I've had Steam games take days. You know, I've never played a Steam game the same day I bought it. And I don't know if it's because I play bigger Steam games, but I just let them download and go do something else. And my internet is not that slow. I think my internet is something like 10 megabytes a second. I forgot. I haven't done internet test speeds in a while or whatever. But that's my point. When you buy a PC game, the updates you're gonna have to go through alone are gonna take an amazing amount of time. You're not gonna get the option to play that game without the update, because you have to be logged in. Well, in most cases, at least. Point number 2. The consoles have, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, especially from the PC community. The consoles have way, way better quality exclusives year by year. And I'm talking about AAA exclusives. And not really even AAA exclusives. I'm talking about just AAA games that do not ever make it to the PC. And, you know, a lot of you guys are going to say, well, we have indie games, and games that do make it to the PC are better. Yeah, but there's so many games that don't make it to the PC, and this is where I found myself playing a console regardless. Just to name a few games, just so you guys can get a kind of a sense of what I'm talking about. For example, if you want to play a sports games with your friend, the last FIFA I got didn't even have local multiplayer. I think it was FIFA 11 or FIFA 10. It didn't even have local multiplayer. Do you know how serious that is? Besides that, most sports games don't make it to the PC. Like Madden. I hate Madden. No, I don't really buy Madden. I hate EA. But whatever. Thing is, a lot of people play Madden, and the only place you can get Madden is the consoles. For example, I'm a huge fan of baseball games. Baseball games just don't even make it to the PC like that. Sports games in general have a hard time making it to the PC. I don't know if it's because they don't do well or what it is, but it's just the way it is. Other games like Last Gen, Bayonetta, Skate 3, Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption. Do you know how big this game was? In my opinion, this game was a lot better than this game, GTA 5. In my opinion, Red Dead Redemption was a lot better. And you guys just got GTA 5 if you're gaming on the PC. You just got it. You got it like a year, 2 years late compared to the consoles, however you want to see it. You know, that's by the time you got the game, console gamers already played through it. You know, and I have it on the PC. You know, I do have it on the PC, and it is a lot better. But it's not that much better. As in, like, it wasn't worth the wait. I just went and played it on the console regardless, because it was pretty much almost the same experience. You know, a few mods, but that's another thing. I don't want to get up subject, but I'll come back to mods later. Other games that prove my point. NVC3. This never made it to PC. That is so sad. And that's what I mean. Huge AAA games that never make it to the PC. And would probably be better games on the PC. They just don't get published for them. For a variety of reasons, such as, certain PC gamers pirating games and so on and so forth. Developers just don't see the same return they do on consoles as they do on PCs. Consoles just, it makes them a lot more money. Yes, you could buy into a game on PC for cheaper, but at the end of the day, you're not really buying that game. As opposed to a digital copy where I own this game forever. Sorry about that, guys. Dropped a few games, but I own this game forever. I never have to worry about my hard drive corrupting or having to get another CD key or switching from operating systems or etc. etc. Right. But let's get back to the subject. Other games that don't make it. The few games I just said were last gen, and I know I'm missing a lot of games because if you would have asked me this around 2009, 2010, I would have had a bigger list of games that I wanted to play on PC back then that just weren't on PC. Another thing, I've been PC gaming since I was 8 years old. That means I've been PC gaming for about 15 years now. And I mean PC gaming as in building my own computers. I built my own computers since I was 8 years old. Anybody who thinks they're special because they built a computer is an idiot. There's like 8 pieces to this dumb thing, and you just connect it. It's like a Lego, a little puzzle. It's so easy. You're just connecting cables together. But anyways, games that made it onto consoles this generation, the PS4 generation, and haven't made it to PC, which are games like Bloodborne. And, for example, Destiny. Destiny came out on almost every platform, except for PC. What is up with that? So much for the mouse and keyboard being better or more accurate when the big shooter that everybody's playing isn't on PC. Yeah, you guys have Counter-Strike Go. I'll give you that, but Counter-Strike Go is not a fun game most of the time. Hell, it's, as much as it gets compared to Call of Duty, it's not as fun as Call of Duty. It's a more serious, I played a little bit of Counter-Strike Go. I was more into Counter-Strike when Source was really out there. That's what I really played, was Counter-Strike Source. But Counter-Strike, it's a little different, because that's always the argument PC gamers use is, it doesn't matter what shooter you have, Counter-Strike is on the PC. But they forget to mention, even until recently, games like Gears of War, games like, oh my god, games like Halo 2, 3, 4, they just didn't came out for the PC. That's huge. I played the original Gears of War on PC, and it was the game I loved. Come to find out, Gears of War 2, what's going on? It's not on the PC. It just got put on the PC. Yeah, it might be better, but holy crap, PC game. Console gamers have had that game for how many years now? Probably close to 7, 8. Yeah, the graphics were a little worse, but hey, that game's such old news. Now, I'm going to move on from the games, because you guys can understand by now. AAA games, especially newer AAA games, not newer AAA games, but high budget in that it took a lot of money to make them. Those type of games don't really make them to the PC, and that kind of hurts me, because my PC, I wish I could show you guys my PC. It's right here. My PC, for example, has a Core i7, R9 280X, 12 gigs of RAM, an SSD to boot it up. It has all these awesome things. But when it comes to games, most of the games on PC are indie games. I didn't buy this computer to play League of Legends. I didn't buy it to play Dota 2, because I can play that game on my laptop. I can max out that game on my laptop. Why would I need such a overkill machine to play indie games? So when PC gamers say, oh well, PC has better indie games, that's so misleading, because the whole point of PC gaming is to have a monster rig. Alright, next point, uniformity. And what do I mean by uniformity? In a console, for example, when you grab your PS4 controller, alright, you can go from playing a game to using the web pretty much with the same controller. You won't need to change anything. I could go from playing a fighting game to surfing the web in just a matter of seconds. PC, it's not like that. I have well, I don't know where it is right now, but I have a controller for the PC, because you can't play fighting games on a mouse and keyboard. And so some of you out there might argue with that, but you just can't. So when I'm playing something like, I have the new Mortal Kombat for PC, Mortal Kombat X. When I'm playing it on PC, I have to stop, put the controller away, go back to the mouse and keyboard, come back up to this desk, just to go and look something up. That really goes to show that, the uniformity on PC is just not there. Programs don't blend in together like the way I want them to. For example, when you use a Mac, all those programs are optimized for a Mac. On a PC, because it's running Windows and there's so many different hardware, some programs don't run correctly, or you might get little mistakes you have to troubleshoot, which is no problem if you know what you're doing. But for example, somebody like, a lot of my friends aren't going to put up with that. And that's where a lot of you guys on YouTube come in, where you guys are getting this bad information on buying into PC, when you guys really shouldn't be buying into PC, because it's not for you. And at the end of the day, the first few troubleshoots that you guys have, you guys are going to drop the PC because you guys aren't going to like it. For example, Solid Rev. I watched his videos for a long time. He built the PC, and he received so much bad, misleading information about it that he built a crap PC. Main thing is, you can't go cheap with a PC. You can go cheap in certain components, but for example, the motherboard. I see a lot of these guys out there getting these cheap $50, $60, $70 motherboard. Yes, some of those are great values, but you give yourself no room to upgrade. Once that goes, it's like you might need to get a new processor and everything else. It's just it's just not good in buying certain components that are cheap. A lot of people who say they can build a PC for $350, they cut corners that they really shouldn't be cutting. For example, one of the most horrifying corner cuts is power supplies. You get a cheap power supply, it might blow something out. I don't have the most expensive power supply, but sometimes the advice these people receive on what power supply to get for their cheap build, or what motherboard to get, or even sometimes what case to get, it's like, why do that to yourself when you can spend an extra $100 and get something magnificent? And that's gonna bring me to my next subject. Consoles are cheaper. It doesn't matter how you put it. There's a PC centric channel on YouTube. Most of you guys know it. They call the techs. They start with an N, and their name ends with an X, and then techs tip guys, or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves. Sorry for cursing. And what they did was something called a scrapyard war, which was ridiculous. They said they could buy a used $300 computer that'll beat a console. Now, you could do that, yes, but here's the thing. You can buy a PS4 right now used for $250. Less. Even less than that. You might even get away with like $210. $200 if you go on Craigslist. So, how is that a fair comparison? To add on to that, you get a free controller, or you get a controller included with that, which is essential to playing, fighting games, racing games you can't play on a mouse and keyboard. There's so many games you can't play on a mouse and keyboard. So, that you get that controller, which is good for every game. A controller, that's another thing. With a controller, you can play any game. Yes, shooters are going to be better on PC because you have the mouse to, you can just point and click and shoot. But overall, controller beats mouse and keyboard. Anybody who tells you otherwise either only plays shooters and RPGs or just doesn't know what they're talking about. I challenge anybody to come over to my house and think that they can beat me, using a dumb keyboard for a fighting game. You're just not going to beat me. I don't care who you are. If we're playing Mortal Kombat 10, for example, you're using a mouse or a keyboard, because you can't even use the mouse on there. You're using a keyboard, and I'm using a controller. I'm gonna win. Come on, let's be honest and logical and reasonable about this stuff. Controllers are better than mouse and keyboard, and that's something I hear again and again, and it's like, no, they aren't better. There's no way that they're really that much better. They're only better in certain aspects, and even then, when you look at the grand spectrum of things, controllers are 10 times more practical than a mouse and keyboard, especially for gaming. But going back to the scrapyard war, it was such a dumb thing. One, these guys were looking for computers at like the Salvation Army. That goes to show you how out of contact with reality these guys are. They don't even know where to shop for a used computer or anything like that, because they live on the internet. Even when they do most of their shows, they're on their computer 24/7. So that goes to show how out of touch with reality these guys are, and that they think buying $1,000 graphics card is practical. How is that practical? If you live in LA or New York City, that's like a month's rent for most people. That's not practical at all. Spending more than, for me, spending more than $800 to game is just not, which I did do that, but spending more than $800 in just the machine, and just, let's say, without including the monitors and everything else, spending much more than that is very unpractical. It's just not reasonable. That's my opinion, but it's the logical thing to do. And I know I'm gonna receive a lot of hate for this video, but I had to put some honesty out there, because there's a lot of misleading information going into the consoles, like just dumb little stuff that's not true about consoles being said out there. Almost forgot. PC gamers say PCs online is free. Well, I don't know what platform you're playing on, but I pay more, or not right now, but there was a time where I paid more to play online on the PC than I did on my consoles. Right, I stopped subscribing to those games, but in order to get the full experience of the PC, what you're gonna pay per month is gonna be ridiculously high. For example, iSims Racing is about, I forgot how much it is. I haven't paid for that game in a while, but iSims Racing, iSims Racing and iRacing, they're something like $10 a month. Okay? PS3, one of the best. You know, I have a Logitech wheel. Playing this on PS3 is way better than any other driving simulator. I don't have to pay for some dumb subscription. You know, for example, WoW costs, I forgot how much WoW costs, but it costs just as much, if not even more, than paying for PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold. You know, you can't dispute that. I know, because I used to play WoW a lot, and I used to pay more for that than I did for my whole PlayStation Plus membership. You know, it's just little stuff like that where PC-centric websites will lie to you just to make the PC look better. And that's another thing. When you go into these PC-centric websites that are always doing a new graphics card review, and they make a video saying, hey, consoles are garbage, or they make their little, you know, comments saying, oh, I'll never play a console. You know, I question if they're even real gamers. I question if the only time they turn on their PC is to make a benchmark, because these guys will say anything to get you to buy a computer because it's their job to sell computer components. They don't want you to buy a console. It won't benefit them. But anyways, that's my little video. Feel free to leave all your hateful comments down below, as I'm sure you will. Once again, that was just my opinion. You know, I feel like people need to hear this because a lot of people are only hearing one side of the story. And for all of you still questioning if I'm a PC gamer, I am. I know a lot of you are like, no way he's a PC gamer if he's downing the PC this bad. But I am a PC gamer. I love the PC. I'm just not gonna act like, sorry about that, guys, that's my PC screen. I'm just not gonna act like the PC, as far as gaming goes, outbeats the console in every way, shape, or form, because it doesn't. In a lot of perspective, PCs get stuff like little annoying stuff like viruses and like I said earlier, troubleshooting problems and all that dumb little stuff that you just don't see on a console. As a matter of fact, you won't even see that on a Mac. You know, I can make the argument right now that people who buy Apple computers are the master race. You call them the Maxter race, whatever you want, whatever stupid name you want to put on them. Reason being why most of their programs run better. You'll never hear that from a PC gamer, ever. But anyways, guys, that's my video. Sorry about the video quality. I don't have a camera right now. I'm using my tablet. You guys have a wonderful day. Once again, feel free to leave all your hateful comments, or if you know, agree with me, feel free to give your opinion as well. But yeah, you guys have a nice day.